Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, Dan, those wackadoos.
We're gonna be, okay, so what we're going to be talking about is sociology and the decline and or rise of religion, specifically Mormonism.
Yeah.
But also other things. We're just going to be sort of chatting about what's making religions lose their people? Where are they going?
Where are the people going, Dan?
How can these religions hang on to these people?
Oh,
Is it possible?
I don't know, Dan.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, we'll find out.
We'll learn it all soon enough.
We'll find out. Dan, I have
Yes,
got
sir.
a big question for you.
Okay.
How did your hair or your head get so shiny?
It is, those of you watching on YouTube, those of you viewing at home, may notice that my hairstyle has changed slightly in that it exists no longer.
Yeah, there is no style to your hair.
Right.
There's no hair to style.
I teased it last week that that there was going to be a change. And change there was.
Have you ever done this? Have you ever had a shaved head?
I have. I have a couple times in my life.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But yeah, just for a show that I'm in, my head is now clean shaven.
Now, usually what one would say is, did you bick it?
Harry's it. Is that you can't?
How do you Harry's your hair?
Let me tell you something. Harry's does not verb very well. You can't verb the word Harry's.
I don't know, Dan. You just have to do it.
You just have to do it.
Yeah.
I
and
Harry's.
that's what you did. You Harry's your hair.
Yeah. So
your head.
So yeah, Harry's.com, ladies and gentlemen, is a great way to get fine shaving implements, including but not limited to great razors, great shave cream, gel stuff.
Yeah.
The travel blade cover, those precision engineered blades that you can get that are so nice.
Yeah.
And that ergonomic handle.
I know. It's very comfortable.
It's actually really good. That sounds stupid to talk about the handle, but the thing that you're actually making contact with.
Here's the deal. You spend your whole life shaving with some sort of, razor, whatever.
On a stick.
That just doesn't have, they didn't think about the handle.
No.
And then you get one in your hand, and they did think about the handle, and it's a whole new experience.
And you're like, oh, okay, that's what that could be. That's what I get it.
And then you go on and on about it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you too can have a gorgeous shaved head, should you wish it, or just a shaved face, which is the normal thing. And Harry's has over 3 million fellas have switched to Harry's.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you're getting a great shave at a fair price.
Right.
For the longest time, we've just been gouged by Big Razor. They just they stick it to you.
I'm laughing, but it's true.
It's 100% true.
I shudder to think how much I have spent through the years on razors.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're going to be shaving. You might as well give them a try. You go to harrys.com/TGIA. Mm-hmm. You pay only for shipping, and they send you out the free kit with all of the things that I've already mentioned for free. And then you just try it. If you don't like it, you cancel. You don't have there's no obligation. You don't have to keep using it.
Right.
If you love it, which you probably will, it just comes to you every month or whenever you need it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What a great service.
Easy breezy.
How'd they come up with that?
It's amazing. These guys, I don't know if any of them are actually named Harry, but if they are, he's a genius.
Tis true.
Yeah.
Well,
so what do you got? You got any stories?
Yeah,
for us today?
God. I guess I'll just start with some little problem over at the Vatican.
Uh-oh.
A little, perhaps, unethical action at the Vatican.
Trouble in paradise.
Oh, my God. So I guess there's been some sense out there in the world that Pope Francis is a little light on doctrine.
I mean,
he's touchy-feely.
Yeah, he is pretty touchy-feely.
He's more about the connections and this idea of being a pastor, right? Of being a good shepherd.
Where does he get these ideas about like loving everybody and just and not judging other people? Like he judges. He's pretty good at judging other people, but he talks about not judging.
Yeah,
other
and
people.
he limits his judging to a respectable level.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You keep it down. You wash the feet of some prisoners or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, anywho, there was a letter that came by way of Pope Benedict, Emeritus Pope Benedict.
Oh,
right. And
we forget that we have two popes. We're living in a two-pope era.
I know it's so confusing. In which he praises Francis for his theological and philosophical heft and blah blah blah. Right.
Which is interesting because we always think of Francis as kind of the polar opposite of Benedict.
Right. And so there's a volume of books about the theological training of Pope Francis. And this letter is sort of intended to endorse this series of books.
Benedict blurbed Francis?
Indeed.
Okay.
But the actual letter's not being released, only a photo of the letter. The Vatican is releasing a photo of Benedict's praise, right?
Okay.
But the very bottom, there's this big chunky paragraph, and then right at the bottom of it, there's the page, there's two lines that have been blurred out.
Oh.
Apparently, these are the lines in which Benedict starts to admit that he actually hasn't read the book. Nor has he had an opportunity to actually review the theological training of Pope Francis.
Okay. Well, that's delightful. Frankly, I'll bet with blurbs for many books, the person hasn't actually read the book. I'll bet that happens all the time. But when you're a pope,
right?
Let me just throw this out there. Even I have expectations for a pope.
Yeah.
And one of those is don't just bald-faced lie.
Well, he didn't.
Oh?
He's in the first paragraph, he praises his understanding of Francis's everything, right? From his perspective, right?
Okay.
And then he says, however, the book in question, I haven't had a chance to read.
Okay, so the Vatican is taking the good parts and being like, "Oh, we can use that."
Right.
We can totally use that.
But I don't understand why they just didn't type up the letter differently.
Just type up that paragraph
and put that out in front of the volume of books and take the picture.
That's crazy.
Instead, they didn't look where the page break came in, right? And then later on, somebody's like, "Oh shit, we can't have this in there." Like it's all just totally hack.
Who's good at Photoshop? Who's Father Jones? Come over here and see if you can do something with this. No,
blur this out. Commit an ethical violation,
right?
Because also this letter was released by Vatican media, and so what a lot of people, especially journalists, are calling them out for is that this violates photojournalist industry standards.
Oh.
That this is actually
an ethics violation.
An ethics violation.
Oh my
that there's actually something seriously wrong with doctoring a photo that's being released for journalistic standards or purposes.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
There you go.
So they're not perfect over there at the Vatican if you thought they were.
Well, only two of them are. There are only two infallible men there.
Yeah.
The rest of them fallible.
And yet they don't, It's so strange.
They foul all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to take us to to either rural central Illinois or Minnesota, depending on how you want to look at the story. Because
that's confusing.
It was in So federal authorities have announced that they've charged 3 men from Illinois with the bombing of a mosque in Minnesota.
Okay.
This bombing happened, I think, last year. And basically, these 3 men from a very rural Clarence, Illinois, which is a community of less than 100 residents, fewer than 100 residents. I should say.
Thank you, Dan.
I'm correct.
Thank you very much.
I'm now correcting the article that I'm sort of glancing at.
This is a major beef of mine, so I'm glad you.
Yes.
It's 10 items or fewer.
Anyway, this is about 35 miles north of Champaign-Urbana in Illinois. Do you know that's a city, town, zone, area? 2 cities? I don't know. It's Champaign-Urbana. Anyway,
God, yeah, I'm confused.
Is everybody okay? Let's move on. The 3 men identified as Michael B. Harry, Hari, Joe Morris, and Michael McWhorter are the ones who were arrested. Harry, who is 47 years old and apparently lives or sometimes lives with his parents. I'm just going to point that out.
Yeah, okay.
And we know that because a complaint came in to the authorities via a tip when a person sent the local sheriff photos of guns and bomb-making material inside his parents' house.
Oh, boy.
So,
oh, boy.
So anyway, they caught him. They got these 3 guys. The 2 younger guys, now the 2 other guys, Morris and McWhorter, are 22 and 29 respectively. So they're a couple of kids that apparently were promised money. Like, apparently Morris said that Harry said that he would give them $18,000 to do this bombing.
Oh boy.
So they went and they rented a truck, drove 500 miles to Minnesota, where they broke a window at a mosque and threw in a pipe bomb that they had made.
Okay.
Which started a fire, which was subsequently pretty immediately put out by the sprinkler system. So didn't blow the place up.
Right.
But one of the guys stated that the whole point of this was to scare them out of the country. That's a quote.
Oh my God.
They wanted the Muslims to know that they are not welcome in these United States of America. And they did that.
That's not nice.
They also attempted to bomb a Planned Parenthood,
because those folks aren't welcome in the country either.
Yeah, I guess. But that didn't work. They threw a bomb in, and it was a dud, I guess.
And that was the last one they had.
Yeah.
They only took 2.
Well, you don't want to take. I mean, you want to be prepared, but you don't want to be overloaded with bombs.
Fair enough, but we are also talking about pipe bombs. I mean, how big, like, these things.
Yeah, well,
they caused a fire that got put out by the fire suppression system.
I mean,
it's
nice.
That doesn't seem like.
Well, and also they probably caused some physical damage around.
Sure it did damage. Yeah, no, clearly.
Fortunately, nobody was hurt. But yeah, it is nice. What's nice about this, the reason that I chose this story was because somebody actually stated the motive. They were actually willing to say, we're just trying to scare them out of the country, which is that's great. Right. Good job, guys. Well done, everybody.
Yeah. Well, I actually have a story that all segues nicely too.
Okay.
This is the unfortunate announcement of a new. I don't want to call it a holiday in the UK. A new. Well, let me just say what it's being called.
Okay.
A group sent out a letter announced around to a bunch of mosques and Muslims in the neighborhood that they were declaring April 3rd Punish a Muslim Day.
Oh, okay.
That took a turn you weren't expecting.
It got dark pretty quick.
Yeah, this is not good stuff. So this went all over the country. Hit 6 different cities, or at least that's where it's been reported, where people have received these kind of notes. Birmingham, Cardiff, Leicester, London, and Sheffield.
Okay.
And they, so the letter actually spells out the awards or the points that would be awarded for certain acts of violence. 25 points for pulling off a woman's headscarf.
Okay. I didn't realize it was gamified. So this actually sounds great. I'm having fun with this now. Now we're just having fun.
Someone can win.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to be a winner?
Who's going to win? Punish a Muslim Day.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Yeah.
Headscarf is 25.
Yeah, it escalates quickly from there. 500 points for murdering a Muslim.
Damn. We went straight there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And 1,000 for bombing a mosque. So are those guys...
These guys,
good guys, Dan.
Did they even get points? I don't even know if they
they wasn't on the right day.
They didn't wait for the day.
Those guys were just dumb all around.
Oh my God, these guys! It's the Americans that can't do it right. These British, they organize.
They have it all figured out. Disgusting. This disgusting game, whatever, and the announcement of it. Anyway. I don't want to speculate on whether anybody is actually suggesting that anybody carry this out. It's being sent to members of the Muslim community,
right,
to Muslim-owned businesses, and to, I believe, some mosques.
It's probably the same 3 guys, just the British version.
Yeah,
it's just 3 dipshits in their basement,
right,
or
and
whatever you call that.
They're trying to scare people
in England.
They're just trying to agitate.
They're trying to scare them out of the country.
Yeah. The Muslim community makes up 4% of the population of the UK.
Right.
And 4.4%. That's about 2.7 million people. That's up from 1.55 million in 2001. So the community's been growing. And there's also this, what's interesting is that there was a perception survey that went out in 2016 that found that Britons overestimate the number of Muslims in the country.
Yeah.
And that I think is so critical. I think it's the same thing, that goes on in this country with a sense of, about immigrant groups and everything. That the conservative types... They're
taking. You know what? These Muslims are taking over.
Yeah,
they're going to institute Sharia law.
It's always Sharia with these people.
Yeah, it really is.
And so
Sharia law is literally exactly the system of laws that these Christian people want. It's just named wrong.
Yeah,
it's exactly the system that they may. With a few minor dress code changes, it's exactly the thing that they want. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Anyway.
Yeah. Truly disgusting, and not the way to treat your neighbor, people.
No. That's and also their point system is very badly calculated. I feel like frankly, they really needed to do some more work on the point system.
Well, it is possible that the article failed to mention some of the other things.
It just feels like they're way off. If you've got 25 points, so that means, 10 headscarves is the same as a murder. Come on.
I see what you're saying.
You really got to you got to weight the murder much heavier. That's at least 1,000. Did I even do the math right on that? I have no idea.
You wait, what?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just playing around.
25 into 500. Is that the math?
Yeah, I don't know. Was it 500? I couldn't even remember how much it was.
Yeah, it was 500.
Okay, great. Yeah. Great. Let's get hung up on it. I'm going to move us along to Marion County, Oregon.
Beautiful.
Where a circuit court judge by the name of Vance Day, which sounds made up, has been not removed from the bench entirely, which we may want to ask ourselves why not, but was suspended without pay for 3 years.
What?
By the Oregon State Supreme Court.
For what? What did he do?
Well, for a series of professional misconduct things, including but not limited to, and I'll get to the one that we'll focus on, but he some of these are fun. It was I think there were 6 different allegations, or 8 that he was accused of, and 6 that he was convicted of. Mm-hmm. He apparently they focused a lot on the fact that he wrongfully allowed a felon to handle a firearm. It was somebody I think it was somebody who was working for him or whatever, but he kept like having him go get his gun or whatever, which is against the law.
Okay.
There was apparently an incident where he shoved his business card, his judge business card, into the face of his son's soccer referee to convince him that he was wrong about a call in the game, I guess.
He's like, you're terrible at judging things. I am actually a real judge.
Do you know who you're talking to, sir? That was not offsides. He included as part of his quote Hall of Heroes artwork display that he put up in the county courthouse a portrait of Adolf Hitler, which apparently there's some sort of explanation for, but I'm not really interested in.
But there is no explanation for that.
Yeah,
there's nothing valid.
Why would you hang Adolf Hitler's picture
in the Hall of Heroes
in a courtroom?
The Hall of Heroes.
In the Hall of Heroes. Even if he like had a little plaque that talked about why he was a bad hero instead of a good hero. I don't know how you do it.
A bad hero.
Yeah, not great. Not great. But the one that I wanted to talk about is the fact that he refused to marry same-sex couples.
Oh.
He was sneaky about it.
Okay.
He's a devout Christian.
All this is making a little more sense now.
He would have he instructed his staff apparently that when straight couples would come or would ask for an appointment, for him to come and marry them, they would be given a time when he was available. When gay couples would ask, I'm sorry, he's not free. And not only that, but he apparently instructed his people to cover it up, to make sure that it didn't get out that he wasn't doing this. Ew,
he's awful.
He's gross.
He knows. He knew he was being bad.
Yeah.
Ew.
He fully knew that this was not acceptable behavior for a judge, and he did it anyway.
Ew,
although
I hate him.
Considering the other things, he doesn't seem particularly interested in what's good or bad for a judge to do. Like,
or just dignified for a judge to do.
Right.
Or is like
remotely intelligent for a judge to do.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind being a judge, I think.
You're pretty judgy.
Yeah, right? Like I think I could do a good job of it. I could take one of those, what do they call it? The justice court type jobs.
There you go.
Right? There's no qualifications required for that job. Literally. I'm not making that up. This is not just some dumb thing I'm saying. The Salt Lake City Justice Court, pretty much anybody can be appointed to it.
Well, mean, looking at what our president is currently doing to the federal judgeships, anybody can be a judge. You just got to convince the right person, and you get to be a judge.
I would just absolutely love it. People come into my court. Sometimes I get all Judge Judy on them. Other times I'm like,
I'll say this: if my 1980s television viewing tells me anything, it's that I am qualified to be a night court judge.
A little bit of magic,
little bit of sleight of hand.
Yeah.
If I recall, listening to some
Perry Como.
No. It was what's his name? The Velvet Fog. What is his name? Mel Torme.
Mel Torme.
How do we both know this show so well?
Because I watched every fucking episode.
Very embarrassing how well we both know this show, but we do.
Yeah. I don't really remember a lot of plot lines.
No.
I remember the characters really well.
I remember a few.
Bull and
the guy that played Bull was from Salt Lake.
I know. Yeah, that's so much fun.
Oh, let's do another. Will you please move us on to another story?
Sure. So, Dan, you know this whole internet thing.
Yes, I've heard of it.
Keeps plugging away.
I think it's just a fad.
It's still there.
It'll wear off eventually.
I'm tired of most of it.
Yeah.
But there's some new parts of it that have been declared.
Oh. Can you just declare parts of things?
Through the creation of some new generic top-level domain names.
Oh, okay. This would be like
.com,
like .com or .org.
.net.
These are the
.gov.
Dot blank behind your URL.
.co.uk.
Right. Yeah, because they needed an extra dot in the middle of theirs. What's up with you limeys? Get your act together, will you?
Anyway, one of the new ones, there's actually a ton of new ones that have come out. And I really didn't bother to look up any of them. But one of them is .bible.
Oh, great. I'm gonna get me a .bible address.
Yeah, the control of which was purchased, this is all very fascinating, by the American Bible Society.
Oh, I guess I'm not going to get one then.
Which, as part of their application, they pledged to provide wide access to, quote, all qualified parties interested in Bible issues.
Okay.
But after they got the domain name, however, the American Bible Society barred publication of material it defined as, quote, antithetical to New Testament principles, or that promoted a secular worldview, or a non-Christian religion or set of religious beliefs. And in addition to that, it's being ruled by a panel of traditional Protestants, or people who affirm traditional Protestant definitions of the Bible. So it's become this very exclusionary thing. They want to control the Bible on the internet.
So an atheist biblical scholar would probably not be able to get
mass or pass muster.
Probably not be able to get a .bible address.
It was actually for a minute. There was actually a question whether any Jewish folk or Catholics even would get a space on .bible.
Oh wow! Well, go get your own .torah if you want a URL.
What about the Catholics though? .bible.
.catholic Bible.
.catholic Bible. .heathen Bible. .whore of Babylon Bible.
Right.
No. So apparently, thanks to the protests of a lot of these different groups, there has been some reform of that initial stance, and now they've sort of extended an olive branch of sorts to Judaism.
That's nice.
They've prohibited content that communicates disrespect for the Jewish faith. Nice.
Oh.
Well done. Well done. And yeah.
Well, there you go. I guess my .bible address is a pipe dream that I will never be able to.
Yeah, but and here's the thing, though. By this one really specific group controlling .bible, the names of these sites that will be on .bible are because this is a whole new. All these words are now available, right?
Yeah.
Because you can now use any old word that you couldn't get for like a .com.
Right. You could. Right? There's no way you can get like a 4-letter actual word on .com. It's already. Right. It's been bought.
It's all been purchased out.
Right.
Right. And so the thing about .bible is that they're going to be able to have short names, concise, very specific words, and it's going to be these are going to be when you search on the internet, these are going to be the things that are coming up most likely. Right. At the top of your search results. Are going to be the things that are on .bible if you're searching for Bible-related stuff. So these people actually have a chance to really kind of control sort of perception of the Bible on the internet. And in addition to that, exclude things that they don't like.
Right. Yeah, so much for net neutrality. There goes my...
That's a different issue.
There goes my biblical porn idea.
Well, why is there not like .no God or .atheist or .humanist?
Somebody maybe there is. Some lawyer that's willing to do pro bono, help me sue them so that I can get .xx.bible, and we'll start a porn.
It's all biblical porn or porn based on biblical stories.
Oh yeah, Bathsheba's going to be super hot.
Well, that was a given, Dan.
Yeah. All right. Well, this week, sadly, we said goodbye to one Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
Sent him off into the great nothing. Afterward, and
he's in heaven now.
He is in heaven. It's amazing the number of like sort of cartoons that I saw or whatever, memes and stuff that had him in an afterlife.
Yeah.
Meeting, like literally there was one thing. What was the one? It was somebody talk, because it was also Einstein's birthday, and somebody's tapping Einstein on the back. I think it was like Steve Jobs inexplicably tapping Einstein on the back and saying, "Look who's here." And I was like, okay, so 3 atheists in an afterlife. Great. Surprise, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah. No, that was Kurt Vonnegut's thing. He said that the funniest thing anybody could say about him after he died was, "He's in heaven now."
Right. So anyway, RNS, the Religion News Service, did a really interesting little article outlining his public sort of a chronological exploration into his public view of religion, which evolved over time. So I thought I'd favor us all with that.
Thank you, Dan.
By the way, anybody who doesn't know, he was a theoretical physicist. He was an insanely influential astrophysicist, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sounds right.
That sounds about right.
Seems to be the kind of things he concerned himself with.
Yeah, and had a beautiful knack for actually relaying the science to people who didn't have his brain.
Right. Yeah,
because his brain was the one that was doing all the heavy lifting, but he had a good way of relaying it to the people.
Yeah.
Now, before I dive into this, I will say that not everybody was kind about his death. There were a lot of evangelical Christians who were super cunty about it. If I'm going to be honest with you, including people on my own. In my own like Facebook world, which my Facebook world is fairly well, like I have crafted it to the point where like I don't have people on there that
right,
and it's not like I'm not even like a big blocker of people or whatever.
Right,
I just have good friends, and it is what it is.
Yeah, you've tended that garden well.
I have, but yeah, I had one person who wrote, quote, "I could not care less about Stephen Hawking. There, I said it." Which to me just sound like first of all, she's one of these evangelicals. She is the most conservative Christian I know. I have other conservative Christian friends. She's the one that is
she sounds like the real deal.
Trump supporter and whatever.
Yeah, okay.
But it's so funny because to me that sentiment, just I could not care less. There, I said it. Sounds like I don't like science. It's just I prefer my own ignorance or whatever.
She also cared enough to type it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But then other people, someone wrote on that thread, I'm just going to read this quote because it kind of typifies what's what is happening out there. And some people were much more harsh than this.
Oh, okay.
This person said, I care that others know the real truth, and his denial of God, that jaded every single teaching and understanding he propagated across the globe in his lifetime. And that God so desired to see corrections made that he sent thousands of believers to his side or to contact him, to speak truth, to pray for this man's salvation and war over his soul. God gave him every chance to acknowledge him, but he couldn't, because he could have redeemed so much, armed with the real facts. That is the worst tragedy of all. Isn't that?
That's just a tragedy.
It really is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. He is. So anyway,
I actually didn't even understand what she was saying.
Apparently, yeah.
It's pretty nonsensical.
It makes no sense other than he did damage to the world by saying some of the things that I'm about to say that he said.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hear it.
So
horrible things, I'm sure.
Yes. Just awful. But let's recall that this was sort of a process. So in 2010, he was talking to Diane Sawyer, and he said, quote, what could define God is thinking of God as the embodiment of the laws of nature. However, that is not what most people would think of as God. They made up a human-like being with whom one can have a personal relationship. When you look at the vast size of the universe and how insignificant and accidental human life is in it, that seems most impossible. So he's talking about God, but he's talking about it in terms of the laws of nature are his God.
Right.
As Shakespeare might have put it, thou nature art my goddess.
Oh, beautiful.
Actually, he did put it that way.
Oh, wow.
Then in his book, A Brief History of Time, this goes back to 1988. This was his sort of bestseller. He wrote, the whole history of science has been the gradual realization that events do not happen in an arbitrary manner, but they reflect a certain underlying order which may or may not be divinely inspired. So, 88, that sounds pretty gaudy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty believery.
Yeah. Okay.
Later in the book, he says, it would be the ultimate triumph of human reason, for then we should know the mind of God. When he was talking for the quest for a unifying theory of the universe.
Okay.
So, that seemed to indicate some religious stuff there.
Maybe.
In 2007, the laws may have been decreed by God, but God does not intervene to break the laws, he said to Reuters.
Oh, interesting.
So this seems a little something.
So God tied his own hands. Can't untie them.
Right. Yeah, or he just is busy.
He'll get around.
I mean, he used to break his own natural laws all the time.
No,
he'd part a sea, or he'd flood the whole world or something.
He doesn't do that.
He'd break his laws all the time. Now he doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, back to 2010 when he said, because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. Spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing. Why the universe exists, why we exist. It is not necessary to invoke God to light the blue touch paper and set the universe going.
Wow.
So, suddenly the universe can create itself. Oh, no.
But wait.
Rush
Dan, what is he
Limbaugh
saying?
We'll have things to say about that.
What is he saying, Dan?
It seems to be that he's letting go of this God thing.
No.
Within a year from that, he said in a Discovery Channel documentary, we are each free to believe what we want, and it is my view that the simplest explanation is there is no God. No one created the universe, and no one directs our fate.
Wow.
Skun-dun-dun. And then finally, in a interview with the Spanish newspaper El Mundo,
oh yeah,
the world,
yeah,
he said,
or yeah,
and this is related to an earlier quote. What I meant by we would know the mind of God is we would know everything that God would know if there were a God, which there isn't. I'm an atheist.
That's really clear.
Yeah. It became no uncertain terms.
At first it started out like, okay, you're kind of having fun with words there. And it's like, oh no, you're just saying it.
You're just saying it out loud now. Okay. That's good. That's good. Anyway,
yeah, Stephen Hawking, 76, right?
The age of him?
Yeah.
Yes. He was 76 years old. Lived a pretty long life, considering how debilitating that Lou Gehrig's disease can be.
Yeah, no kidding.
So he did pretty well.
Yeah.
And he gave the world a better understanding of the universe.
Yeah.
Of the Big Bang.
Yeah.
He basically gave us Eddie Redmayne. Like, that guy didn't really exist before he played him on the movie. So, he gave us a lot.
There you go. Yeah. Amazing.
You didn't see that movie?
I did not.
The Theory of Everything, is that what it was called? The movie about Stephen Hawking?
I don't
Anyway, it was delightful. Eddie Redmayne's a treasure.
Oh, indeed. Wonderful.
Well, there
wonderful.
you go.
Oh, Dan.
Well, if you guys have anything you'd like to say to us, please write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And while you're on Facebook, you can search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It's a closed group, but we let people in.
Yeah, that's what we did.
So that more people can join.
All you have to do you just say Frank and Dan sent me, and you're golden.
Wow. Dan?
Yes, sir.
What do you think America smells like? If you had to describe America. And the smell, what is the America?
My America smells like freedom. Smells like diesel fuel, and it smells like candy corn, cotton candy, and probably just a vague hint of vomit and urine. just like a little baby hint of that, because we got New York in it.
Bile?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, we have some audio here from Rick Wiles.
And what a handsome gentleman he is.
You know,
I don't know if you guys.
He's a snappy dresser.
He looks like everybody's great uncle that you desperately don't want to have to see.
All right, let's just hear what he has to say.
Okay.
I went to the Lord this afternoon, and I said, God, what do I say? What do I say on television? What is happening? And this is the scripture he gave me. It's Ezekiel 24, verses 13 and 14. This is God speaking to Israel. On account of your unclean lewdness, because I would have cleansed you, and you were not cleansed from your uncleanness. You shall not be cleansed anymore until I have satisfied my fury upon you. I am the Lord. I have spoken. It shall come to pass. I will do it. I will not go back. I will not spare. I will not relent. According to your ways and your deeds, you will be judged, declares the Lord God. God was saying to Israel, you're lewd, you're dirty, you're filthy. I've offered to clean you up, to wash away your sins, but you won't do it.
Right.
You don't want to be clean, so therefore I'm going to clean you with judgment.
Yes.
My friend, that's the word the Lord gave me to speak right now to the American people. America, you're lewd. You're filthy in the eyes of the Lord. You think you're great and mighty, but you're lewd. You're filthy. You're dirty. Your sins stink to heaven. America smells like putrid vomit in the nostrils of the Lord right now. So you better be careful about saying, oh, we're going to have a war, we're going to beat Russia. You better be very careful, because the Lord may be on Russia's side in this war. They're acting more Christian than us. And this nation has embraced homosexuality, lewdness, pornography, every vile thing, paganism, the gods of the East. We've embraced it in this country, and the church just accommodates it, just looks the other way.
We're lewd.
You're lewd.
You're lewd.
No, you're lewd.
Filthy. We're filthy, stinky, lewd people is what we are.
I'm not lewd. You're lewd.
You're probably not lewd. I'm a little lewd. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm sure you are, Dan.
I dig it. I like lewdness.
He doesn't pass my test of would I want to live next door to him.
No, that guy.
He's a wretched next door neighbor.
That guy. You know what he is? He calls the cops on you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, it's 9:30 at night, and you've got music playing in your backyard.
They're being lewd. Please,
I think it's lewdness.
Please, what is the nature of the emergency? They're being lewd.
Lewdness. I'm
not sure that's a crime in and of itself.
They're not being good like the Russians.
Yeah, what the fuck?
We need more.
They're more Christian?
Well, I mean,
the kind of Christians he likes, I suppose.
I mean, what they are is more authoritarian the way he likes it.
And more gay-hating.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're great at that. They despise gay people.
What else?
That's pretty good.
About all I know about Russia, actually.
I have heard that in Russia they have, you can get a prostitute to pee on a bed for probably cheap.
Oh, that's interesting. Where'd you hear that?
Oh, our president did that.
That sounds kind of lewd.
Americans, again! So lewd! All right.
Okay,
well, we had some people write into us. I actually forgot to do the emails last week, so I
can't believe you, Dan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and you remembered so well. We both forgot, is what I'm pointing out about the emails.
How dare you?
How dare I? Here we go. Zach wrote into us, hey, long-time listener here, love the show. You helped me through my deconversion from the first 23 heavily evangelical years of my life. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm writing seeking some clarity on something that was said in episode 326. At one point, the desire was expressed to see animals being more humanely slaughtered. It simply struck me as odd that you would use the words slaughter and humane together in that way. It wasn't quite mentioned in passing. It was a point being made. Given that the majority of the world's leading health organizations have declared vegetarian and vegan diets healthy for humans at all stages of life, could you perhaps talk out loud about or reconcile the idea of humane slaughter?
Well, I sort of fall into the Temple Grandin category of like how to treat animals.
Yeah.
And how to appreciate animals.
Yeah, I mean, I think humane slaughter is... for someone who's a vegan who believes that like the killing of animals for human food consumption or use is immoral, these arguments aren't going to mean anything.
Right.
But the fact is that there are like way meaner ways to slaughter an animal, including the halal and what's the Jewish one? Kosher ways, which involve like just slitting their throats and letting them bleed out.
Right.
Whereas, there are ways of like making sure that the animal doesn't sense that there are other animals that are going through pain so that they're not afraid. And then a very quick way of making sure that they don't feel pain, that it just happens instantly and then they're dead.
Die virtually instantly. Yeah.
So that's,
instant death doesn't sound awful.
Right. And as long as there's no fear leading up to it, that's as humane as slaughter gets.
Yeah.
Whether you disagree that that's okay,
Right.
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. And if you don't know the work of Temple Grandin, you should look her up.
Yeah. She's great. As played on the made-for-TV movie by what's her name, Claire Danes.
Claire Danes, yeah, she does a really nice job. But yeah, she came up with a lot of more humane and ethical ways to treat and handle animals. And, yeah,
she's great. So Tristan wrote into us. What is your opinion? We talked, you'll recall, about Iceland. Both of these sprang from that conversation. Iceland and their banning of circumcision.
Yeah.
Which you and I applauded. Tristan wrote in and said, "What is your opinion of medical circumcision? I only ever hear about it from a religious point of view, and think that the priestly filleting of infants is disturbing, but circumcision by a medical professional doesn't bother me. I may be biased because I was circumcised at the hospital as an infant." So I think our stance on this has been pretty clear. It's largely about the fact that you're mutilating a human body of someone who's too young to actually consent.
Give permission for the procedure.
Yeah, you're literally cutting off a part of someone's body.
Right.
Who unnecessarily, completely needlessly, and they can't actually give their permission for you to do so. So it doesn't matter whether it's done medically or it's done, in someone's house by a mohel. The ethical problems remain.
Right, but if an adult decides that they want their penis to be circumcised, he can go in and I suppose he could have it done by a mohel that's also going to fillet him if he wanted to.
If he wants to. Oh. And, hey, he can even grant the consent for the fellatio. So,
all of it.
Like, it's all good.
As long as it's an adult.
As long as it's an adult. It's weird. That would be a very strange thing. But, there you go. Jason also wrote into us. I thought it'd be cool to share this bit of knowledge I gathered while I was getting my bachelor's in religious studies. In episode 322, you talked about the doctrine of Immaculate Conception. You had said that this was thought of by someone in the 800s. However, this doctrine was not universally held by the Catholic Church until Pope Pius IX enacted it in 1854. 1854.
What? Oh, come on.
Even though versions of it were already in belief amongst its people, it is theorized by John Shelby Spong, and I think this is fascinating, that the scientific discovery of the mammalian ovum in 1827 pushed a need for this dramatic and odd change in doctrine. Until that point, it could only be observed that a woman was the vessel for the child created by the man's seed.
Yeah.
Since it was one's lineage that passed on the curse of original sin, according to Augustine, Jesus was conceived without original sin, as his only lineage was his father, God. When the egg was discovered, this left Jesus open to, quote, infection by his mother's newly discovered role in conception, necessitating that the church cover a gap with the new doctrine. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. People just didn't know that the woman actually played a part other than just carrying.
Being the soil.
Yeah.
That the seed was planted in.
Right.
Interesting.
And then once they found out, oh shit, half of it's her.
Right.
How are we going to solve that problem?
All right.
How do we solve a problem like Maria?
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Jason. That's amazing. What a neat little bit of trivia.
Indeed.
We have some folks to thank.
We have new patrons, Dan.
Okay.
On Patreon.
Hooray.
So I'd like to thank the following 2 listeners.
Okay.
For becoming faithful listeners. Mitten and Wade.
Okay.
And then I need to thank...
That's not Mittens Romney, is it?
Because Mitten.
Okay.
There's just one.
Well, if another Mitten comes on, we'll know that the future senator from Utah is going.
And then we have 2 new beatified listeners.
Oh, okay.
Dang and Brittany.
Neat.
So I need to thank both of them as well. Thank you so much.
Blessings on you, people.
Yeah. And these are folks who have gone to our website, thankgodimatheist.com.
Yes.
And clicked on the support tab.
Yeah.
And then they went to Patreon, and they selected the level at which they wanted to support the show.
You're right. They become part of that community.
Yeah. And in return, there's bonus content that's available.
Yeah.
Based on the level at which one decides to join up.
And that level has...
We're adjusting.
We're
some
making
of the
some adjustments. So now you can get our bonus content, which is weekly now.
The specific bonus content being the Frank and Dan Diaries.
That's right.
That was at the $3 level, and that's now going to be dropped down to the $2 level.
Boom, baby!
And but anybody who shows up on Patreon and becomes a patron gets free a commercial-free access.
That's right.
Or they get access to a commercial-free version of the show.
That's right. They don't have to listen to any of the ads.
None of the ads.
So there you go.
Which is that's a nice little benefit right there. So yeah, go ahead and join them if you'd like. And of course, we always have to thank our top donor.
Yeah. Number
who
1
continues to reign supreme. Our Lord and Savior, Angela.
Blessed be she among all of y'all. All right. Name of the Father and the people. Amen.
Amen.
So, Frank.
Dan.
I want to talk about a thing. I found an interesting column written by one Jana Reese, who is a Mormon, and she writes a column on RNS, on the Religion News Service, about Mormonism, called Flunking Sainthood.
Yeah, she has a very interesting voice.
She does.
As a writer about Mormonism from within Mormonism.
And she's quite liberal, and she's also like scientifically minded. So she has done apparently a huge series of studies about Mormons and sort of opinion polls and a whole bunch of studies, sociological studies.
Oh, really?
Which she's
best kind of studies,
which she has not released because she's publishing them in a book.
Oh, she's got a little game.
Yeah, but she's released certain things. She's talked about certain things.
Doing it right. She's teasing us.
Yeah, she is. She's
wetting our whistles.
Well, my whistle feels wet. Anywho, so she recently went on a podcast put out by the Salt Lake Tribune in which she talked about some of the findings and stuff, and she talked about the fact that millennials in Mormonism, as with almost all of American religions, are dropping like flies. Meaning they're leaving the religion a lot. That doesn't mean they're dying. They're just leaving the religion. In larger numbers than previous generations. And
almost universal, right? Like 98% of millennials are just like gone. Done with religion, right?
Not quite that. But for instance, in the number of Americans ages 18 to 29 who have no religious affiliation, in 86, that number was 10%.
Okay.
In 2016, what do you think that number is?
20%.
39%.
Shut up.
39% of 18 to 29-year-olds. According to the PRRL, which I don't know what that is. Anyway, so everybody's asking the question, what's happening? How do we keep these people? What's going on?
How do you get them back is the better question. Well, you've lost those people.
You've lost them.
Wow. In that kind of number as well, like, it feels like there would be a lot of, like, social, like, these are kids who, if they're part of that 39%, their whole social network is probably filled with mostly people who think the same way.
Yeah.
Who are unaffiliated or who are atheist or whatever.
Right.
Is a really good. Because you kind of have to have a large enough of a group in order to withstand the pressures from the outside. And this is, that's an unbelievable number.
Right. And I think part of it, so somebody wrote into her, she wrote, Jana Reese wrote this column, the blog post about this guy that wrote into her after she appeared on this podcast. And he was a baby boomer who has millennial, adult millennial children. And he was saying, because her prescription for what the Mormon Church needed to do to retain more of the young people was things like, stop shitting on gay folk.
Right.
Because the young people all have gay friends.
Right.
And they all realize that these gay friends are not evil people.
Right.
So stop shitting on the gay folk. Stop being, just so awful to everybody.
Right.
And this guy wrote in and said, hold the phone there, because historically, it's the religions that have the tightest control, that are the meanest, that are the authoritarian, baseball bat wielding, law, letter of the law religions. The really conservative ones are the ones that are either growing or at least retaining their people. And to some extent, that seems to be true.
It rings true.
The more liberal churches seem to hemorrhage people pretty quick.
Well, because mainly the thing that religion does, when religion is operating, with all pistons firing, right? It's really doing a good, it's controlling your life. It's
right.
and it's making you feel guilt and hopefully shame.
Right.
Right.
Hopefully from their point of view.
Right. For normal human urges and normal human stuff that human beings just do.
When you can weaponize humanity against itself,
right,
you have control.
So I want it almost like, but was she's, does she have a response to that?
Well, what's interesting is that it doesn't seem to be applying so much anymore. These old ways of thinking.
So it's like something has turned.
Yeah, she mentioned
the internet, Dan. It's the internet.
It kind of is the internet. Not just the internet, mind you.
Right.
But like the fact that you have access to so much information, that so many people are allowed to speak.
Right.
And can actually get their voices heard.
Right.
Us, for one thing.
Yeah.
Like the fact that this is happening, that there's a podcast and two guys who don't believe in God are able to just put their voices out into the world and other people can listen. That is having a huge impact.
Yeah.
And it means that, and also what it's done is, people, once we sort of get to know people, when it's like what happened with gay folk. Society started to meet gay people.
Yeah.
Gay people started to say, I'm gay.
Right.
And then everybody was like, oh, well, you're not bad. You're just a person.
Right.
Well, I think space is opening up in society. It used to be in the America that my grandfather grew up in, not being affiliated with a church was horrific.
Yeah.
Socially, you would be an absolute pariah.
Yeah.
Even, so there were plenty of people who didn't believe. They just went to church because they
had no other choice.
They wanted friends. They didn't want people egging their house or whatever. But now, the society's views are, we still have plenty of people yelling about how bad we atheists are.
Right.
But I think societal views are changing about, the guy down the street is an atheist and he's fine.
Right.
So we can live in harmony with atheists or whatever. Right. And, and other than the evangelical, the pastors who are screaming about it, it's nobody really is caring as much anymore.
Yeah.
So I think once space is created so that you're not going to be the worst person in the world if you leave your religion, shit, yeah, a lot of people are going to leave their religion.
Yeah.
Their religion's ridiculous. So,
boy, it really though speaks to how effective the control mechanisms were.
Yeah.
That it had such a grip and stranglehold on so many people. Like, think about all the people who just suffered through church silently.
Yeah. Yeah, just you just sort of hung in there. There's a sociologist named Darren Sherkat,
that's totally made up.
Which is totally made up. But yeah, Reese quotes Darren Sherkat saying who apparently calls the strict church theory the supply side thesis of religion.
Okay,
which I think is funny.
Yeah,
but contrast that with what he calls secularization as a theory, which secularization theories argue that as the United States becomes more secular, religious attachments will become less important. Oh, really? Wow, that's genius. But proponents of secularization expect to find that non-affiliation is increasing. It is interesting. I feel like the old guard, the old models of what kept people in church and what didn't keep people in church or whatever are changing dramatically. None of them apply anymore because it's just a different world.
Wow.
And it's because of the atheist podcasters.
Oh, thank God. For us.
Thank God for us. We're saving the world.
Oh. Great. Good. I'm happy. Finally.
Well,
finally. But as long as it holds.
But as we've talked about many times before, it's just so much fun to watch as these religions try and grapple with this problem.
Yeah.
Because they can take one of two paths. They can take the clamp down, hardcore, hardline, blah, blah, blah path and
alienate everyone.
And just alienate everyone and seem like complete assholes. But there will actually be a group
that approach.
I
think they should keep that up.
I mean, that's kind of the Trump voter approach, right? Yeah. Like the single best predictor of who would vote for Trump was someone who believed in authoritarianism. You know what I mean? So the Trump voter approach is one approach, and it'll work for a percentage of people.
Yeah.
And then there's the liberalization approach, which then maybe they keep some people who would have left if they had hated gays because now they love gays now.
Right.
But then a lot of people just be, as it gets more and more liberal and it's more and more touchy-feely and it's like less about the rules, a lot of people don't need it. Right. They don't feel the need to be there. It's not offering them anything, so then they just sort of meander away.
They're no longer selling, shame and guilt.
Right. So what do you have holding me there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
I'm not. I'm not coming for the coffee.
Because I can brew my own coffee.
Yeah, and better than theirs. Anyway, all interesting stuff. If you guys have any sociological grand theories on religion and the retention or loss of religious adherence,
I would love to hear your thoughts.
Write into us.
Yeah.
Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call us.
Yeah. Maybe.
Please.
Call me maybe.
424-666-8442.
Yeah, that gets your voice on the thing. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And while on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge. Request to join. It's a closed group, but we'll let you in.
Yes, indeed. Hey, speaking of Facebook, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of her hard work on the Facebook page, and thanks to Sarah, Danny, and Amy for their hard work as moderators in that Members Only Lounge.
And as always, a big special thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
Yes, indeed. And thanks again to our patrons who sustain this program and keep us going. We care so much about all of you, and we care about you. Thank you, dear listener, for tuning in.
Bye-bye.